Hi, my name is Joe Hamilton. I'm the pastor at Redeemer Church here in Sarnia, Ontario. If you're feeling weary and heavy burdened, this video is for you. We're giving you a message of hope and encouragement, reminding you that your strength doesn't come from within you, but it comes from outside of you. It comes through other people building you up and encouraging you. It comes through the presence of God moving in and among his people all the time through ordinary and extraordinary ways. I invite you to stick around for this video, whether you're the weary and burdened or whether you're one of the ones with energy and enthusiasm for the season. However you're functioning and living in the spirit of the day, we invite you to take the time to share this message with somebody else, either to build up a weary spirit or to bring that message of peace yourself, so that you might encourage them with your own presence. Geography means everything. If you're in real estate, it's an obvious question. Location, location, location. Rule number 1, 2, and 3, and the only 3 that you need to worry about. In the case of reading scripture and defining how the context of the text influences our lives, it's the same thing. Geography is everything. I remember the first time that I found myself in Israel at the end of grade 12. Our family was on a study trip, and the person leading the tour said to us, "Jerusalem is up there," and he pointed off in the distance. Your eyes followed his hand up the horizon along this dirt and rocky road, to the top of a hill, and there, faintly in the distance, you saw a slightly lighter colored area than the rest of the landscape. That was the city of Jerusalem. And then you read a passage like "a city on a hill cannot be hidden," and you think, well, of course it can't be hidden. Look at, there's Jerusalem. We're miles away and we can still see it. Geography is everything. Last week's video of the Good Samaritan describes the same type of thing. We focused on the 3 people, but you could even just pay special attention to the geography to recognize the risk or the effort taken to avoid that person. Their roads were not like our roads today. It's not as simply as wait for the light, cross over, jump on a new sidewalk, and away you go. No, if you're going to avoid somebody, you're going to make a concerted effort to cross from one side to another, or at risk your peril or somebody else's peril to get out of the way. For those roads, as they wind up the mountainsides towards Jerusalem, are along hillsides. Well, here again, as we look into the Psalms, we're going to need to consider the same things, especially as we begin with Psalm 84. Psalm 84, if you're not familiar with it, begins with almost a kind of a jealous lamenting. It's this sort of a tired groaning. You might think of it as the same people who are saying around you, or maybe yourself saying the same things, where you're like, man, how long is this social distancing going to last? How much longer do we have to be kept up in our homes? Man, I would love to just sit down at a coffee shop with my friends and enjoy a hot beverage. Or maybe you're thinking, I would really just love to explore that new store that was about to open before everything closed. Whatever your dream is for that better thing, or whatever that next thing was going to be, well, that's kind of the voice here at the start of Psalm 84. It says, "How lovely is your dwelling place, Lord Almighty. My soul yearns, even faints, for the courts of the Lord. My heart and my flesh cry out for the living God." And then here's the jealous piece. "Even the sparrow has found a home, and the swallow a nest for herself, where she may have her young, a place near your altar." And then in between the sentences is this unwritten plead, "Why can't I have a place there too, Lord?" Anyways, those words find themselves as the people of Israel are on their ascending journey toward Jerusalem. They're walking from a low point in geography to a high point in geography, along dirty and rocky roads, along unsafe and trying valleys, as they go from one place to another, as they go from their homes to the temple to worship. And particularly in Psalm 84, they are about to enter in, or they probably already are in the midst of, what is called the Valley of Baca, as the text calls it. In other sermons that I've done, I talk about it as being probably the most difficult journey of their pilgrimage. You know, if you're thinking about your own geography of your city, there are probably a number of back alleys that you could drive past, or seedy parts of town where you know it's just a little less safe than other places. Even if you live in those areas, you know that there's certain times of days where you, if you're on your own, should avoid those places. Well, the Valley of Baca is one of those places that most people should avoid, but when you're journeying to the temple to worship God, well, sometimes you just can't avoid it. And so through the valley you go. It's the deepest, it's the darkest, it's the most difficult to climb, and man alive is it trying to work through. And so as Israel journeys through that, they say to themselves, how long, O Lord, do we have to suffer through this? Even a sparrow has a place next to you. Surely we will too. But then they carry on and they continue to dream of what it might be to dwell in God's holy place. And then they reflect on what happens in the Valley of Baca. They say as they pass through the Valley of Baca, they make it a place of spring, and autumn rains also cover over it. They go from strength to strength till each appears before God in Zion, before each appears in God's holy city. They go from strength to strength, and instead of being met with peril, they find it and make it a place of springs. Autumn rains, refreshing rains, cover over it. The real text that I want to bring to you today, and I have wanted to bring to you for many weeks now, has been Psalm 23. For in the midst of the lives that we are living, there is an incredible amount of grief. As our communities and as our families move forward, not only are we losing loved ones to other illnesses unrelated to the coronavirus, but we're losing loved ones because of the pandemic. Not only are we losing our loved ones, but we are also losing our jobs. We're losing financial stability. Our own home life and rhythms and routines have become more than unbalanced. And as we approach this summer season and get ready for what comes next, it seems that it's going to become even more disrupted yet. I recently read an article about parents worrying what the summer might hold as summer camps and plans like that decline steadily for the summer, leaving them more and more on the hook for taking care of their kids and trying to juggle jobs while being at home. But it goes further than that. You can read countless horrifying articles about people losing homes and losing their financial stability all over the world. As things started to open up lately, it seems like numbers aren't continuing to decline, but now they're starting to maybe rise again, and we get nervous of a second wave and a need to even clamp down further on our restrictions. All of these things seem like and feel like perilous valleys. And now as we move from May and into June, we're in a season when there are plenty of university students, those going to college, high school students, and those graduating elementary that would be ready to do graduation ceremonies and move from one stage of life to the next. And instead of it being seemed like they're forced off into greener pastures, it seems like they've taken an unexpected turn down a really dark, dangerous alley. And we call it the coronavirus or a global pandemic, and we see no end. And unlike the alleys that you can avoid normally where you see the other side, this one has blind spots, dark corners, and things lurking in it. And we have no idea what comes for the future. Our own strength isn't enough. Again, this is a video for you who are weary and feeling heavy burdened. To turn to Christ, not just with your eyes, but to put yourself shoulder to shoulder with him, for his yoke is light. He'll carry the load and lead you through it. If you don't believe me, he says the same thing again in Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd, I lack nothing. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He refreshes my soul. He guides me along the right paths for his name's sake. And here's the real grace of the text. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, even though I walk through a valley defined by uncertainty, I will fear no evil. For you are with me, your rod and your staff protect me. They comfort me. One there to protect, the other there to drag you along. Skipping ahead a little bit further, surely your goodness and love will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Did you catch the similarities here in Psalm 23 that I spoke about just a moment ago in Psalm 84? That you again can hear in the way that Jesus invites you to come if you're weary and heavy burdened, to follow and walk with him, yoked to him so that your load is lighter, so that he might lead you through, his rod and his staff there to comfort you. I want to go back to that Psalm 84 though, where the psalmist is describing that experience of going through the deepest and darkest valley. And what happens in that place, again, God moves through us. He uses each person to bring about his will in remarkable ways. And one of those ways is that he allows the strength of one to be lent to the strength of another, so that those that are the most weary might go from strength to strength until they are through that valley. This is a calling to community. This is a calling for you to not try to lead your own life through this as best as you can on your own strength, but this is a calling for you to support others around you and allow your strength to become theirs and allow their strength to become yours, so that as you journey through this valley together, you might move from strength to strength. We are all in this together, but we do not all experience it equally. And so we need to recognize that where we are in some ways doing better than some of those around us, there are in other ways we will be suffering more than others around us. It's not a time for pride or arrogance or pretending we have it together. It's a time for sharing and leaning and supporting one another. This is a time for yoking yourself to Christ and trusting in him to lead you through the darkest valley, knowing that he has gone through the valley before you. Psalm 23 isn't just describing a way to get through death. It's describing a way through getting through life. And for those of you who are young in your life, those of you who are in the graduating moments of life, moving from one stage to another, I encourage you now more than ever, don't just look to your own strength, but link arms with somebody nearby you and journey through this with them. Your schooling, your education, all of these things that you have been putting your trust in are good and worthwhile, but it is the strength of the community around you that will get you through. For through those people, you will be met by Christ himself. People will love you in unexpected ways and give you opportunities that you never knew possible. And in your noviceness of not knowing things because maybe you weren't able to finish the semester, you have nothing to fear because God has a remarkable way of deflecting some challenges. Again, don't just look to him with your eyes, but turn your shoulders towards him too, so that the rest of your body might follow. Be yoked to him. Allow your weariness to become strength and allow your burden to be made light. Trust in the Lord. He is good and faithful. He will carry you through. I promise.
He became sin, who knew no sin, that we might become his righteousness. He humbled himself, he carried the cross. Love so amazing, love so amazing. Jesus Messiah, name above all names, blessed Redeemer, Emmanuel. You're the rescue for sinners. You're the ransom from heaven, Jesus Messiah, Lord of all. His body the bread, His blood the wine, broken and poured out, oh, all for love. The whole earth trembled, the veil was torn. Love so amazing, love so amazing, Jesus Messiah, name above all names, blessed Redeemer, Emmanuel. You're the ransom for sinners, you're the ransom from heaven, Jesus Messiah. Ooh, you're the Lord of all. All our hope is in you. All our hope is in you. All the glory to you, God. You're the light of the world, Jesus Messiah. You're the name above all names, blessed Redeemer, Emmanuel. You're the rescue for sinners, you're the ransom from heaven, Jesus Messiah, you're Lord of